whatever you want.
Perfect.
Those are some of the, you know, all of our songs start out with guitar, basically. You know, that's what it's about with us. That's why it stays classic R&B.
What was one of your favorite riffs that you came up with?
Well, I'd have to say it was one of my favorites. Well, besides whatever you want, it would have to be. That right there. Lay your head on my pillow and just relax, relax, relax. Everything starts out with, sometimes we write down a hook idea, like the song It Never Rains in Southern California. Whenever we were on the road, we would come from the East Coast, and we had an attorney in LA, and his name was Barry Rothman, this Jewish dude with this big white beard, looked like Santa Claus or something. And we would come from New York, and it was cold as hell. We'd have these big fur coats on and stuff, walking in looking like the young Isley brothers. And he'd look at us like, hey, what you guys got those furs on for? Don't you know it never rains in Southern California? And so we had this hook book, and he said it so many times, I wrote that in the hook books. Like when we get back to the studio at some point, you know, we always refer back to that book because there's concepts and ideas in there. And that's how it came about, the concept of wanting to do it. But what really happened is, from there, we were all standing in this studio off of East 15th in Oakland. And Tim, who's one, he didn't party like, definitely not like me or us, but he was just this home rat, and he's a genius. That's Tim, the one he never speaks, but he's a silent genius. He did all the music to that. People ask us how to become other. No, this weirdo, one morning at about 4 in the morning, did all of the music, and we would be out partying, coming home 3 or 4 in the morning. This dude would be on his keyboard. We came home, and Ray came to me. He's like, hey, man, Tim did this music. You got to hear this. Played it. He's like, that's fly. He said, I wrote something to it. I wrote something to that. It Never Rains in Southern California. Played it. I was like, man, that's a hitter. And so that was one of those ones that organically happened. Tim masterminded the whole music behind it, but we later came and put an orchestra on it, and that was Claire Fisher. 40-piece orchestra. You don't want to understand. So people want to ask us, why does our music feel and sound so classic? Because we start out with classic instruments, and then we come and dirty it up with like 1,200 drum machine. Best of both worlds.
What would you guys do if you had to produce, let's say if Tony Toni Tone came out in 2019, like if you guys started out fresh, young boys.
Yeah. Woo!
How would that sound be like today? How would you?
Well, I mean, it would probably be, if we came out today, it would probably be much like how, you know, Meek Mills and Chris Brown and them refreaked whatever you want, because, you know, the people's grabbing our samples now, but the point is they're dirtying it up with some cool new drum sounds and everything. So sonically it's the only thing to change, but songs are songs. You can't take that away. You know what I mean? A lot of our stuff gets redone, which is, we really appreciate that, because that's what we have to do as people. We have to make sure that we retain our sound and our culture and all of these things that we start out. So that right there, to me, it's important. But today, we get down in the world today, and that's what's going to happen like with this movie we're doing. We travel a lot. Wherever we travel, we soak up that energy. Slow wine, we did that in Trinidad. I didn't know anything about this, the dance, the wine, but after about 2 months, I really understood. So we had to bring that back, what we experienced. Traveling to Ghana, traveling to Nigeria, traveling to South Africa, Joburg. We just got a whole new energy that we're about to incorporate to the Tony sound, and I think it's going to be that next. It's going to be that next Afrobeat soul 100%.
What are you feeling today? Like, what's inspiring you? Like, you just mentioned Afrobeat. What sounds, what artists are kind of giving you that
what like artists giving me that love and giving me that inspiration, that energy? One artist in particular, I dig this brother. His name is Seun Kuti. He's the son of Fela Kuti. And when I met him, I was like, man, I know you, because I know your dad. And it's just like, you know, from when I had a cafe in Oakland, we would play his music, and experiencing how passionate he was with the people and how he understood that we are one, and how if we don't uplift each other, we'll never elevate. And meeting him and getting a chance to work with him, that's how this song that you're about to hear is called The Plant That Saved the Planet. That's me and Raphael put it together Took myself over to Africa, went over to Ghana, went over to Lagos, and I played at the Shrine. My God, it's nothing else to talk about.
Talk a little bit about you and Raphael's relationship today.
Yeah.
Like how it progressed over the last 30 years.
Oh man, you know what's a trip? Everything happens for a reason, and I'm one of those ones that I grew up in Oakland, so at one point I was pretty much a little hothead before I grew those dreads. You didn't want to know. So I'm just saying, and that gave me a new life. It made me understand things. It took me out of my circle. It took me out of my comfort zone of Oakland. It took me around the world, so to speak. So me and my brother's relationship, to start up Tony Toni Tone happened to be me just making sure I took the energy I learned growing up in the 70s. I'm a child of the 70s. And that whole era of music in Oakland was different. Sly Stone, Graham Central Station, all these groups. We were inspired by the Ohio Players, inspired by just people that just took our mind out. And so being Raphael, he was playing with a young group. And I remember I was with this group called Alpha Omega, and we were like the Earth, Wind, and Fire of the Bay. But I wanted something like you were saying, what's fresh and new? I wanted to, I want to party a little bit on stage. And my brother was playing bass and a whole bit. So the way we ended up really coming together as a band, because it truly was only family business, us sitting on the couch watching videos and jamming at home all day and listening to albums my sisters and brothers would play. Tony Toni Tone happened to be a nickname of a roommate of mine, and we would tease him. So but whenever we got dressed and thought we were fly, we started using that name as a nickname for us as the way we clowned. So the band was just family business. And when we got that deal, it was different. It got, money made it change, because we didn't realize we were writing songs. We just were writing songs, but we thought writing songs meant you have to know how to write. We don't know how to read music. We play by ear. Learned on the street, learned in the church, learned at the clubs. I learned at a lot of blues spots. Grew up watching the Black Panthers rally across the street from our house to Fernery Park. Grew up watching Sly Stone perform for some of their rallies. So that's kind of like the base of it. So when we came together as a family, a lot of the music was stuff that we endured and learned right in the Bay, and it expanded. Then people had different camps and stuff. So the Tonys, we went through a lot, a cold transition. But even our last album, when we finished in '96, I don't want to say it was our best, because we never considered ourselves. We never thought that we really learned how to fully produce. We were still on the edge. We didn't leave the industry like going down. We were like right at the peak of it. I don't think we even toured for the last album, and that bad boy moved about 1 million or 2. But those songs were stuff that we came up with on the fly. Like let's just say we went to the studio, and I forgot what we were working on, probably finishing Lay Your Head on My Pillow, but we came back to the pad about 3 or 4 in the morning. We're partying, and we came up with I've been thinking of you. You've been thinking of me. Now that was inspired by love and happiness. That's what I'm saying. So music speaks, man. Songs, you can tell a story. You can tell a story, and you could tell a story that's made up, or you can be real about it. We choose to be real about what we write.